At this point in time, we'd like to call the Recreation Advisory Committee meeting to order. Will everyone please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance? Pledge of Allegiance.
Republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call.
Mr. Sims?
Here.
Ms. Webster? She excused. Ms. Webster? Ms. Gilroy's excused. Mr. Paschal?
Here.
Ms. White?
Here.
Mr. Sunnycab? And Ms. Custis is excused.
Okay. At this time, before we start the meeting, I'd like to recognize that we have a new Community Development Director, CRA Manager. Her name is Ms. Lisa Frazier, and welcome to the city.
Thank you very much. I'm very excited to be in this position and working with this group on the development or redevelopment of the park system. And it's been a wonderful experience so far, day 6, to work with Margarita. You're very fortunate to have her.
Okay. At this point in time, I'd like to everyone to have everyone had a chance to review the minutes from last meeting. Or anything need to be added or taken away, or something that was missing? If not, we can get a motion for approval. And
motion for approval.
All in favor of?
Aye.
I mean, correction. We need a second. We need a second.
Yeah.
I wasn't here. I don't think I can second it.
Okay, so
Second, Jim?
Take it.
Okay. All in favor of?
Aye.
Aye.
Aye. So as approval, we So we're going to move on down to item number 6, the unfinished business. Item A. So Mrs. Hernandez, would you like to give us an update of on the playgrounds?
Sure. From the inspection results, we've addressed all of the priority 1s and most of the priority 2s. I'll tell you about them in a little bit. We've addressed them either in the form of repairing the parts that could be repaired, or ordering the parts that needed to be replaced, or closing down the area until these parts arrived. From the inspection results, there were quite a few parts that we needed to order, and these have finally arrived on September 20th. It was delayed, some of the shipments were delayed a little bit due to Hurricane Irma, but all of these parts have arrived on September the 20th. I have to tell you that the Creative Playground has been shut down and is still shut down because it's a lot of parts that have been ordered for them, and in the latest meeting that the Public Works had with the supplier informed the Public Works Department that a couple of the parts are now obsolete. In other words, they're not being manufactured anymore. So it did take quite a bit of time for the supplier to figure out, okay, what parts can we replace so that the city doesn't have to buy a brand new playground that would still, make the playground a compliant playground. Finally, he got back to us. I did get a quote, staff did get a quote from him last Friday, September 22nd. And based on this quote, the city will be entering the final, hopefully, purchase order, right, to get this playground back to par and back to compliance. But that's what's taken us a little bit. It's one of our biggest, if not the biggest playground.
Yes.
With a lot of parts, a lot of parts, and like I said during the last meeting, we were informed that a couple of them are not manufactured anymore. As for the parts that we've received, like I said, we received them on September 20th, and now Public Works, now that they have everything they need, they will diligently work to get this, these playgrounds back to compliance. As I stated initially, there are a couple of playgrounds that still have number 2s pending, and I'll specify which ones these are. Friendship Park is because of a part that, again, was received on September 20th. So that'll be the first on our list because of that number 2 pending. And then it's also Filbert Park. Filbert Park, it's because of the surface. We first try to look into and see if the surface could be repaired. Unfortunately, found out that it couldn't be repaired. So now, because Filbert is not the only playground with surface that needs to be completely replaced, we as staff have been looking into the most feasible, the most cost-effective way to replace these surfaces on some of these playgrounds that still, is going to meet the ADA compliance aspect of it. So we finally think we found a solution, again, feasible, cost-effective, and still compliant, which staff will be presenting to the city manager for approval. I'll keep you up to date as far as that. So those are the only 2 playgrounds that have the number 2s pending, and I've given you the reasons.
Okay.
And that is my update.
Question? Do you happen to know what year we put the Barber Street complex in? Because at the time it was an overhaul from what it was previously. So I want to say that was like 2007, 2008-ish?
Are you talking about the pirate ship?
Yeah.
I think that came in after the other playground equipment.
Yes.
Years ago, there used to be some wooden structures.
Yeah,
in
I know
it.
we got rid of that one.
But then I think they went to more updated, and then the pirate ship, I think, came after that then. So the pirate ship hasn't been there that long. But it's the other one. The other one is when you're talking about the regular playground.
And that's what I was going to point
regular,
out,
not the
is that
pirate
it's the
ship?
creative playground, not the pirate ship,
Okay.
that's in question.
Gotcha. All right, so that was clarifying for me. Okay. And then on here, when it says Riverview Park, on here we're listed down at the bottom for things that are playground surface. Is that we're looking in to do a new surface at Riverview versus, isn't it sand currently? Or not? Am I mistaken?
It is sand.
Okay.
And what ended up happening with Riverview is that we did an analysis when we found out all the parts that needed to be replaced at Riverview Park, and it ended up being more cost-effective to just order a brand new playground, including the surface being that sand is not ADA compliant.
Yeah, I have no problem with that. I've complained about the
Yes.
sand for a long time. And then, so we're going to order a whole new set for there? Is that what you're, just to reiterate?
In fact, we already did. I believe the very next city council meeting after we had our meeting, I believe on July 25th, so maybe the city council meeting must have been July 27th, these playground inspections were discussed, during which the city manager was given permission or approval from city council to do anything he needed to do to get these playgrounds up to par. So because of that, we went ahead and ordered that playground and the surface for it.
Right. I think that's a good idea, because that's probably one of the highest, most used, depending on when you have events and other things in there. When you have other people visiting Sebastian, that's probably one of the areas that's going to get seen by people that are visiting, the waterways or the restaurants or everything else. And that one's been in need of repair for a long, long time.
Does that funding come out of Parks and Rec, or is it come out of the city because it's replacing? How's that going to work?
And that's actually a very good question, because the playground at Riverview Park and the surface is going to come out of R&R, the R&R funds, repair and replace funds, I believe.
Okay.
That's what it's going to come out of because of that, because it was.
I think that's part of our Parks and Rec, is that we can't, we don't do maintenance and we don't do things out of our budget for like that, because there was already a playground there. And did you already pick a playground structure and everything is done? Okay.
We did. In fact, right now, the status on that is it's pending the building departments. I believe I spoke with the building department director last Friday, and he said that it was fine. He had reviewed the paperwork, the compliance aspect of it. He said it was fine. I think what's pending right now is the contractor license registration. They have to do that. I guess it's one aspect that they need to meet with the building department, but that's where it stands.
So for all the repairs and the surface replacements, that doesn't come out of Parks and Rec, out of our monies then? Is that maintenance, does that come out of the replacement, and how does that work?
No, the parts that I told you about that just arrived on September 20th, all of those came out of the parks budget.
Okay.
Because it's not a complete replacement of the playground. It's only aspects of it. It's only parts. So in that case, it had to come out of the parks budget. I understand, it is my understanding, and I can clarify at the next meeting, but it is my understanding that because it's a completely new playground, including a completely new surface, this is why we were able to use the R&R funds. Now, I don't know if, like I said, I can clarify because I don't know if maybe the other reason is that it was an emergency purchase, and it was considered an emergency purchase because of the inspections and the #1 priorities, et cetera, et cetera. So I can definitely find out for you, but like I said, staff felt comfortable doing it because the city manager had been approved by city council to do whatever he needed to do to get these playgrounds up to par again.
But all of these other parks for repairs and parts, that comes out of Parks and Rec?
Parts, yes, because it would be maintenance.
Oh, okay. I'm just going to question that if you could find out for sure.
Definitely.
Because I'm thinking that I don't think we do the maintenance on it. I think once it's put in, I think it comes out of the city for repairs. But check on that and see. That was just the definition of what the monies can be used for.
I will. I've been getting familiarized with the budget for Parks and Rec, and I do remember seeing a parks maintenance aspect of that parks budget. And so far, in the time that I've been here, the replacement parts that have had to be purchased, not just because of these inspections, but prior to this, they've come out of that maintenance portion.
And Jim, you have any questions, Jim, about this?
No.
Okay. Greg? Okay. You mentioned the ADA aspect. So would the ADA would it be inserted into all the parks or just the ones that you just mentioned there? 'Cause the ADA aspect, so will all the parks within the city be ADA compliance, or the ones that you mentioned that's going to be heavily used?
When I mentioned the ADA aspect, I was referring to the surface.
Okay.
And that's because that is what the inspector, noted, that the surface was not compliant because it wasn't ADA compliant. So that's what I meant is, okay, we're going to look to see what options we have to replace this surface, not only that is feasible for the city, cost effective, but also it definitely has to be ADA compliant, being that was what, that was the issue found by the inspector. So when I spoke about ADA compliance, I was referring to the surface.
Okay, and that was for, was it Riverview Park? Riverview Park and, so was it, Filbert Street Park and Riverview Park for the ADA?
Yes, and there's other ones too that have to have new surface because they don't meet the ADA compliance.
Okay.
So is that rubber, like the chips that we have for the pirate ship, and I know at Easy Street, is that compliant, those chips? They still are?
Easy Street, the only thing that the inspector found for the surface was that there wasn't enough. So the material in itself is compliance based on, the report, but it wasn't high enough. And so that's one of the playgrounds where we'll have to replace some of it or, restore some of it because it's not meeting the height.
Is that the same for the Barber Street, the pirate ship one too? It has to be
Barber Street does, let me see.
I'm just wondering if the pirate ship, because I think that's the only two parks that we have that rubber chips in it.
Barber Street, we will be replacing the surface, and it is going to be with that engineered wood fiber.
Oh, okay. So the same thing, just
Yes.
deeper, probably the same thing as Easy.
Yes, but it's two playgrounds in one, right? So
Sand.
I know we have some rubber mulch that we had purchased even before these inspections to do one side of the two playground area, I guess, for lack of better words. So it's not gonna be just like Easy Street, because Easy Street really is just refilling and making sure that it meets the height, whereas Barber Street, it's gonna be a little more extensive. It's gonna be doing some rubber mulch, and then I don't know if it's gonna be a complete rubber mulch, or for sure we're gonna make sure that it meets the ADA standards, but it's not gonna be as simple as Easy Street.
And then, does that come up out of our budget too, for the mulch and for all the surfacing?
And that's the presentation that staff is gonna be making to the city manager. I couldn't tell you right now if it's going to come out of the parks budget, but we'll just have to see. I'll make me a note to report back to the committee at the next meeting, because that is, I don't know yet, you know, where exactly it's going to come out of.
I think what it is because we've never done an extensive repair and replace like we're doing now with the playground equipment, and so we've never really had to look at where the monies have been coming from, because we haven't done that at much extensive work. So I think it's good to look into that, because we've got all these other playgrounds that are on the list that are going to need attention. So just so we know what's coming out of Parks and Rec and what the city is responsible for.
I will.
Okay, thanks.
If there's no further question on that, we would like to close this part of our meeting and open up the meeting to public input on that matter that we have. If anyone wants to speak about the unfinished business, an update on the playgrounds. So when you come to the microphone, please state your name and address, and address all comments towards the board also.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
For the record, my name is Damian Gilliams, 1623 US Highway 1, Sebastian. I am a business owner in the community for over 30 years, and also a resident for over 30 years. And it's been a while since I've been to one of your meetings, so thought I'd just stop in, say hello. And I want to, first of all, thank you for your service, because there's a lot of things that get done by the boards that the community doesn't realize. It takes time and effort and review and study. And I want you to know I personally appreciate it. I've sat on many boards, and I think it's important that we get more volunteerism in our community. So, Mr. Chairman and your committee members, thank you very much for serving our community. I had the opportunity to look at a few things real quickly pertaining to things that are in the hopper. I noticed that the City Council has directed staff to proceed with the Treasure Coast planning for a master plan for the parks, which, by the way, I think is an excellent idea. There's nothing like doing a complete, total assessment and looking at what needs to be improved, what needs to be addressed, and the best way to do that is through a master plan. So I want to thank the board for also looking with the City Council and getting that started. The thing that I noticed recently that was just in the recent council meeting was the handicap that they're looking to replace the existing park where it was before and moving it, I guess, maybe to the back where the ball field was.
Excuse me, but may I stop you for a few moments? Because I think we want to open up public input for the matter that we just discussed right now.
Oh, I thought it was public. I'm sorry, I apologize.
We're going to have a public input a little bit later down.
Oh,
so
okay, I thought it was a public input for...
But this public
I
input,
apologize, Mr. Chairman.
No, it's no problem at all.
I'll wait and just call me up when you're ready.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're going to move to the next item. It's new business, and there's no new business. So at this time, is there a way that we can put some new business in there if they have something for the next meeting, or we have to wait or write it down and bring it to? Can we, if the members had any ideas about new business for the next meeting, so will we give it to you now, or will we give it to you at the end of the meeting?
It would probably make sense to maybe do it under member matters.
Okay. All right. So by that being so, we have there's no new business. So at this point in time, we would like to open it up to public input. So we want to keep our agenda in gear. So again, I wasn't trying to be disrespectful at all. Just had to make
Not
sure
at all. I heard you say public input, so I didn't know which matter you were, and I was doing some writing. But anyway, let me continue where I had left off. The action that the council has taken on behalf of the board here, implementing the Treasure Coast planning to do the master plan for all the parks, I think is an excellent idea. I had a chance to go back into the minutes. I see they allocated $19,600 for a certain project task, and I just wanted to get an up-to-date, because I know that was done back in March, and some of these tasks were supposed to be done in 4 months. Has the board been updated on anything from the Treasure Coast planning, regional planning, on the master plan?
I want to say, like, at this point in time,
I think you're talking about two things.
yes.
The one that we're doing for all the playground updates, how do we title that? That was what group?
The overall main idea was playground inspections.
Yep, and then
I'm referring to the master plan for all the parks.
that one got dropped.
Yes.
Because we're focusing right now on the playground maintenance, repairs, up to date, everything on that.
So they're not proceeding with the scope of services through the Treasure Council? Is that correct? That's
Because that was like brought up some meetings ago, and like we had brought it back to the city council, and the city council, like it's in their area now. So we just got to sit back and see what's going to go forward, and if it's not going to go forward, it's going to be
No.
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, may I interject?
yes.
Just this afternoon, Margarita and I had a conversation with the Treasure Coast Regional Planning Council regarding the contract that we do have with them to proceed with it's not necessarily a master plan, but it's an update of the recreation and open space element of our comprehensive plan, and it will include a very nice inventory of our existing assets. And so they are behind in the agreed upon schedule, and so we did phone them today and got an update that they will be proceeding hopefully very quickly. We asked them before the end of October to provide us with a draft GIS map with all of our assets. I think that's probably what you're referring to,
That's
sir.
exactly what I'm referring to.
And it's strikeouts and inserts for the comprehensive plan element that they propose. So we've asked them for these drafts before the end of October, and we'll go over them, we'll do a park tour with them, and then proceed from that point.
Mr. Chairman, that was very informative. I was only going by the minutes of the City Council. They had projected 4 months out when they signed that agreement, but since they have an update, and I know that it's imperative that our comp plan, which is very important to the city, gets filed annually, and I'm assuming that's probably going to be part of it.
Yes, sir, but the comp plan doesn't get submitted annually. Actually, according to the DEO, it's every 7 years. And so at this point, we are projected that a new comp plan does need to be completed in 2019.
Okay, well,
But this will be part of it. You're absolutely correct.
Mr. Chairman, I think that you guys are right on online as far as seeing that you get a good scope and an idea of what's going on with all the parks. I mentioned before I got to sit down about the handicap, and that was a concern of mine because I know it used to be back here behind the police department, and they're in the process of moving it. The playground, yes, the handicap playground. I think it's important that when they do decide, I don't know if they made that decision yet to put that where the ballpark, okay, because
Ballpark, though. They're not moving it.
behind the
It'll,
boys club?
no, it's not going to be there. It's going to be back in here where the old bocce ball, horseshoe.
Next to the tennis court?
Right, on that side. Front.
Front of the courts, okay.
Yep.
Okay, so it's not going to be,
No, it's not way in the back.
so there'll be easy access for handicap accessibility?
Parking and restroom, right.
Perfect. Okay, that was a main concern. I didn't have clarification on that, and I just wanted to make sure. The other thing that I wanted to mention as well is the dog parks. Now, I know we only have one dog park, and I know it's important that if you want something more in this town, you have to get it in the budget. And if you want to put money set aside for additional dog parks, I think that the dog park we have now is a great hit. And there's a lot of people using it. Maybe staff or this committee can debate whether or not we could start thinking about a second dog park, maybe on the other side of 512. Just as a suggestion to be open-minded, because the next time they give you money and allocate money in your budget, which is going to be approved this Wednesday, that's the time to try to get it into the recreation budget.
There's about 30 seconds.
Okay. In closing, Mr. Chairman, I think everything should be, when it comes to these committees, from the bottom up. This committee should not, if you're going to serve, should not be getting information from the top down. And when I say from the top down, you should be the first one to be reviewing things, and it should be reviewed with staff, and then it goes to City Council. So to show respect to this committee, I think that's very important, that when you participate with government, it's from the bottom up. And that, thank you for your time, Mr. Chairman. Appreciate it.
Thank you as well. We're going to move to number 9 of our agenda, staff matters.
Yes, in fact, our city manager has asked me to inform the committee that if City Council approves the 2017-2018 budget this Wednesday, September 27th, the city manager will be meeting with Joe Scholke on October 28th to discuss the Friendship pickleball courts, as well as the Barber Street Sports Complex football fields for ADA restrooms. And that's all I have.
Okay. So we have the members' matters. We'll start with Sonny.
What's that?
Okay.
I got some.
Okay.
Easy Street Park, there's a, we had a sign up that was the distance around the park, and apparently some kids unbolted it and stole the sign. So I have a suggestion of, we have a sidewalk there, putting the distance on the sidewalk rather than having a sign up. It would be the same principle, but that way you can't steal a sign, it's on the sidewalk. And people do like to know the distance they're going around the park. Also, Easy Street, the lights need to be retimed. And I've noticed Easy Street Park, the Pelican Landing brings their seniors down to feed the ducks. And the seniors have a great time feeding the ducks. And we have on Facebook, if you go to Easy Street Park, there's a picture of them feeding the ducks, and it's dedicated to Easy Street Park, about the ducks in the park and the fountain and things like that. And then also at Riverview Park, the volleyball court needs to be sprayed for weeds around the perimeter. And then the Bark Park, the guy that lives there, John, was complaining about dogs in his yard, and also the city planted trees there for privacy, and they've died. I was thinking we put up a fence for the other neighbors to divide the park, maybe putting a fence up for John instead of replacing trees and things like that, replacing a fence like we did for the other people.
Are you talking like a short fence area or like around?
Well, it's like a 6-foot white fence. The same fence to match the rest of the dog park.
But how
fence.
long of a fence?
Yeah.
How long were you thinking? Quite a bit?
It's just, I think there's 2 houses there, but it's not a whole lot of fence. But the trees they planted, they just aren't growing. Half of them have died. So probably the money was spent on the trees could have been done for a fence and had been done with. And
That might be something to look into. Yeah.
so I was just thinking maybe to solve the problem, a fence like everybody else has. And the sign that was put up around the trail, people are using it. I see people taking bags out and they're using it to pick up from their dogs. Also, I'd like to give thanks to the post that's around the area, the grassy area. I feel that was a safety thing. Coming right out of the gate, and cars parked there and backing up. So I feel a lot better with those posts around there where nobody's going to get hit or run over. Also, it's on the rules from 7 a.m. till dusk, and people needs to abide by the rules instead of going in at 5:45 or 6. Because when people don't abide by the rules, they're stepping on other people's toes, I feel. But it is listed on the signs, 7 a.m. till dusk. Also, the trail needs to be, I mentioned before, I don't know if you've done it or not, but the weeds around the trail on the far end, because when you walk, you kick up bugs when you're walking on the trail. And also the boardwalk back here. Did you check in that, having it cleaned or anything about that? It belongs to the county. Now, the last time Commissioner Joe Fletcher took care of it. So maybe if you get in touch with Joe Fletcher again, we could get that taken care of, because it's dirty again. There's a couple of boards missing, and it is in our city, and the people use it, and it should be. It's a reflection on Sebastian, so I'll check into that. And also like to mention that the garden club also has a light on their fountain, so. Also at Easy Street Park, the bicycle rack needs some bolts, some repairs or something. That'll do it for tonight. Thanks.
Joanne?
Are the Easy Street lights on? I haven't been there at night to see.
I go every night with my dog.
Do they seem like they're mostly
I
on?
think it's just from the storm, electric off.
I know there's some I saw one that was broken, like the frame around it, so they might want to just do a walkthrough when they have nothing else to do.
I've actually seen them on there today.
Okay.
So I'd say the timer's messed up.
Okay. I also, on Easy Street, so we're talking, we were going to set up some type of a schedule for someone to clean the tables and the benches, to spray and clean all that duck stuff that's around there. And I don't know if there's a set schedule yet, but I'd like to see if you could set one up just so we can keep on top of it. Because when we're having these folks come over in a bus, or we have kids and they want to eat or sit on it, it really does need to be upkept. So if there's maybe some kind of a schedule we can do every day.
The park is used by a lot of people.
Yeah, and it just
young
needs
and old.
I have a question. When, like all these parks that we have, Filbert and everything, if someone wants benches in any of these parks, can they volunteer to, like we do memorial benches where people will pay for the bench? I know I did one for my dad. Can they do those in all the other parks? So if they want to do one in Filbert, any of the others, they would contact you or the city then?
Yes. Easy Street is not the only park where
Right.
people could purchase a memorial bench and ask to be placed at that park. There are several other parks. In fact, there's a website that I will have to get back to the committee on the exact, website address for the next meeting. But there is a website where the city lists the different parks where there's the option to purchase a memorial bench and have it placed there. I know Garden Club Park is one of them. I only know because probably earlier this year, somebody asked, to install one there. So yeah, it's not restricted to one park or two.
So if we needed any more benches at Bark Park, people could also contact you if they wanted to put more in them themselves?
I don't see why not. I would have to make sure, because this list of parks, that are available for, putting up the memorial benches was checked into with a public works director, because they're the ones who do the installment. And so it's not only the bench, it's like a concrete slab
ramp, right.
underneath. So I would have to first check and see if the dog park is one of the available parks, and then we could take it from there.
All right, so any park is up, that's on the list here, that's listed, people could contact you then about if they would like to have a bench put in then?
Actually, I'm so sorry to interrupt, but I was just given by the MIS department the website address for the memorial benches, and there is where people could look up and see which parks, are or have the option. It's memorials.cityofsebastian.org, and it's not just the memorial benches. It's also in that same website, we have the option of the brick pavers. So, so it's a pretty good website. It has a lot of, it's got the frequently asked questions. It lists which parks are available, etc.
So it's memorials.cityofsebastian.org?
ORG.
Okay. All right, and the only other thing, I'm looking at you guys, Halloween's coming and we need some more judges or volunteers to help. It's very fun, and it's October
28th, which is a Saturday at 10 a.m.
So you can always contact her, and she'll put you on the list.
I coach soccer in the fall, but otherwise I'd be there.
Well, do you need help filling candy bags and things? There
we
you
could
go.
always use the help.
Okay, but if any of you are interested, it is very fun. It's fun to get out there and enjoy it. Thank you.
How many judges are you still looking for?
We have 3 judges right now.
Okay, and you're trying to reach a total of how many?
There isn't a set total. The more the merrier, I guess.
And
But
it's not always judges either. There's sometimes you need people to corral kids and get them in line, but it is very fun.
And I'll put myself on the volunteer list. So I'll most definitely send you an email to fill one of those
There you
spots.
thank you.
I was meaning to email you a little bit sooner, but thanks
And
for
it's
the
really
reminder.
fun if you wear a costume yourself.
I will be my natural
But you
costume.
can't be in the contest,
It'll be
though.
a natural costume.
Oh.
Maybe. I may.
Thank you.
I have an idea. Greg?
I have nothing at this time. Thank you.
I have one more thing. Can I add it? The garbage can outside the dog park that's supposed to be for recyclables, we need some kind of symbol or something that says recyclables, because people are putting their doggy bags in the can. This is just outside the gate as you go in.
I guess I'll look into it. I wasn't even aware that there's a recyclables can
Yeah,
at
it's a
the dog
It's
park.
supposed to be a recyclable, like cans and bottles and things. But there's no symbol or nothing that says recyclable.
Okay, I'll also have to check and see if Waste Management does service that receptacle for recyclables, because that I am aware of. I don't think it's being
Somebody
serviced.
put it inside the park, and then the city guys put it outside because it's for recyclables. It's not for waste products. But there's nothing that says recyclable. So if we could look into that, maybe let people know it's for recyclables.
I will.
Thanks.
And I too have nothing to discuss. So at this time, we'll set the agenda for the next date. So the next meeting date would be October the 23rd or the 30th.
Is it October 23rd or October 30th? I think I saw it on October 30th.
October 23rd or the 30th.
It's 23rd.
23rd.
Okay, so 23rd.
Okay.
Sorry.
I hear this voice coming from somewhere.
If there is no further discussions, we consider this meeting adjourned.
Thank you.